Good morning, everybody. Welcome, welcome. So nice to see you. I'm Sara. I have probably met some of you before, and welcome to today's breakthrough hypnotherapy session. And I've got the amazing Jo Green with me today, who you will have met as well, because she's done another hypnotherapy breakthrough session a little while ago. And if you haven't seen that, go and check out the YouTube channel and go through that, because we had a wonderful, wonderful time. So welcome, Jo. Thanks for coming and joining me this morning.
Good morning. Very happy to be here. Lovely way to start the week.
Isn't it a wonderful way to start the week? And I was just talking before with another friend about getting ready for Christmas and this whole kind of like slide down the hill into into Christmas, and I feel like I'm on the top of the slide looking at it thinking, oh, and the stress that comes with that, and making sure you've organized everything. And my kids are getting older now, so it's a little bit different. They're 14 and 17, so they don't really care so much. You should have seen me trying to get everybody enthusiastic about getting the Christmas tree up. No, just me then.
That sounds like our house. We had I had to compromise. It's like, how about Mum, we'll put the Christmas tree up, but you can have Christmas music playing, but we'll have the football on the telly at the same time. And so they were just sitting on the sofa watching the football really while I did the Christmas tree. But I've got an inflatable Santa and an inflatable Christmas tree at the end of the drive. More for me and the kids in the neighborhood than for my kids, but yeah.
Brilliant. And so today we're going to be talking a little bit about hypnotherapy with children and for children and families, and also getting ourselves into a really nice space for this lead up to Christmas, and having this holiday time with people that we love, hopefully, and just getting the most out of every moment that we can, because I think a lot of clients come to us with this filter of looking at all the things that are not good or not quite right. And so tell us a little bit, Jo, about your views on happiness and how we can instill more into our lives.
Well, I think the biggest thing for me is that the reason, happiness is I'll be happy when I get the job, when I get the house, when we've got the holiday, when I've lost weight or whatever. And if happiness is in your future, then that's a bit of an issue because you're never in your future. So I think that for me, the reason so many people feel that happiness isn't there is because we're focusing on all the reasons why we can't be happy now, because we haven't got this, because we're not doing that. So for me, it's looking at all those reasons that you can be happy now. And I think it sounds, and I talk to clients about this all the time, and sometimes I think it sounds too simple for them. They're like, it can't be that easy. And it's like, it really is. But it's consistency. And I do, in my Facebook group, I do what we call the Daily Glads, which is a happiness club tool. And I do it every day. And the reason we say it's Daily Glads rather than like a gratitude practice is some days you just have a really, really hard, rough day. And to sit down and have to say, I'm grateful for it can feel almost like, are you kidding me? Like it can feel a little bit out of reach. But to say, I'm glad, it still brings up those same feelings, the lovely feeling of appreciation and gratitude, but it feels within reach. I'm glad. You can be glad about something easier probably than I can be grateful for.
Absolutely. It just reminds me when Jake was in hospital, we used to do this thing. He would call it at least, and it was basically at least, but he used to think it was one word, at least. And he'd go, at least we've got lovely doctors here, and at least we've got this really cool TV in our room, and at least I can play my PlayStation. So and I think that comes from, you said that being glad. Have you remember the movie Pollyanna, old movie?
No, I don't think I do actually.
Really, really old, like 50s movie. And I guess it was books as well. But the girl in the film Pollyanna, and people will say, oh, you're doing a Pollyanna. She always had this game that she would play called the Glad Game. And there's a part in the movie where I think she'd broken her legs or something. She's in hospital in bed, and her family are all there, and she says, you know, let's play the glad game. I'm glad that I broke my legs because now you're all around me and I've got all of my family close. And I think, you know,
Yeah.
taking it to the extreme, but finding the silver lining is a really wonderful thing.
And the thing is, though, it can feel really hard. Like, it's a very conscious thing at first, right? Because unconsciously, it's dead easy to see all the stuff that's not going right. So anything that takes conscious effort feels like hard work to start with. But I always describe it as it's like in creating neural pathways. The way I explain it to clients is, imagine an empty state highway 1, and at the moment that's the path of least resistance, which is the negative thought about noticing all the stuff that's not going well. And over here, the positive thought, the positive perspective is like an overgrown jungle. But every time you make a conscious choice to take that step, you then got like a scythe and you're cutting it down. The next time you're putting down some gravel and stuff, and then you're making a pathway every time you choose to. All the while, this empty state highway 1's not being used, so it's starting to overgrow until this becomes the easier choice, and it feels harder to take the negative choice. And so, but some days, so for me, with the daily glads, you have to think of 5 things every day that you're glad about. And we say ideally saying it out loud or writing it down, because you're using more faculties than just thinking it, so it goes in deeper. And also, some days you really, really struggle to get to like 2 or 3, and they're the days it's even more important to. But it's also understanding that it doesn't have to be anything like really big or amazing. It could be, that cup of tea I had this morning was just so amazing. It was so lovely. Or my bed is so comfortable. Or I felt the sun on my face. And actually, to me, that's the far more powerful ways of doing it, is by being able to see it in all the really, really little places. And because then the big things that happen, they're just sort of like the icing on the cake. But that if we have to have something big to happen to be happy, you're going to potentially have to wait a while in between. So it's little things.
Finding the joy in just the little moments, and I guess that comes back to that mindful practice of being in the moment, and you know, having that awareness of, and you can, I with a lot of my clients will set that filter in the background, or the reticular activating system, if you like, which is a fancy word for the part of your brain that filters things in and out. That part of your brain can be set intentionally to look for good stuff, to look for the joy, to look for the happiness, to look for, you know, little bits of loveliness.
And I think kids learn from us, right? So this is why when you're working with children, it's important for them to see it. So this is why it's also really important to work with the parents when you're working with a kid, because if you go and help the child, but the parent is really still being super negative first thing in the morning, and they're like, oh, I've got all this all to do and stuff. So that's why it's really important, because they're like sponges, aren't they? Especially really little. So I often say to, even when I'm working like with sort of older clients, I'll say this is a really, really good tool to use with the whole family. You know, sitting down at the dinner table of an evening, doing it all together, it becomes a habit for the whole family to do it. And then you're actively, as you say, you're putting it within your focus, that's what I want to see. So the RAS just shows you more of it, right?
Yeah.
Or going to bed at night. That's a really good one. When kids are going to bed at night, they're like us. They go to bed with all the worries and stuff going around in their mind. But if you do the daily glads just before they go to bed at night, they're going to bed with all those glad things floating around in their mind. So really, really simple and easy. And it helps both, like the parent and the child, because you're both doing it.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important point too. You know, if you do end up working with children, do work with the parents too, or if you're a parent yourself, work on yourself before you think about working with your children. Because if you're feeling happy, you're in a really good space, then, as Jo just said, it's like the sponge. They absorb that energy and the whole family is uplifted. Tell us more, Jo, about the Happiness Club and what that is and how it came about.
So the Happiness Club was actually founded by a lady called Jo Howarth in the UK, and I just happened upon her, and we had a conversation. And I love the work of the Happiness Club is basically it's called the Emotional Management Program by the Happiness Club that I go in schools and deliver. So the idea of it is to increase the emotional intelligence of the kids, to increase emotional resilience, and giving the kids the tools to manage their own emotions and work with their emotions, empowering them to look after their own mental health and well-being. And it helps to reduce the effects of stress and anxiety and depression and grief in young people. So the idea of it is there will always be some people that will need an extra bit of help, maybe some one-on-one, but a lot of, well, not just kids, adults as well, if they're given the tools, the teaching, the skills to be able to look after their own well-being and mental health, they won't need somebody else. And I think the fact is, the reason so many people need it is because no one generally, we don't tend to give these skills to youngsters. And so for me, that's the most important thing, is to be able to empower them and give them the tools. I often say this to clients when we're working together. Imagine if you were taught this when you were little.
Yeah.
They were like, oh my God, my life would be completely different. You know, teaching
It's
kids.
fabulous that you know, you're getting in there and teaching these tools to kids, because it's a lifelong skill that they take with them. They take through their teenage years when it's a bit bumpy, and they've got that foundation to know how their mind works, what they can do to make themselves feel better, how they can change their perspective on things. I think it's just the most amazing thing.
It is. And I think so the way we do it is, I go in for a full program. I go in and I'll be in their school once a week for 4 weeks, and I deliver directly to the kids. So there's a lot of things out there. There's things like Pause, Breathe, Smile and Mighty that are trained to the teachers, and then the teachers deliver it to the kids. That to me has some downsides, because obviously it depends on the teacher that they've got. Some might be really into it and do a fabulous job. Others might be a bit not into it, or up to their eyes in stress and trying to deliver it from that space. And so it's going to be a bit hit and miss as to how it's presented, the consistency of how it's presented. After the end of that, we then train all the teachers in what we've trained the kids in, but not just the teachers, like the support staff, everybody. And then there's also an optional parent session too, which to me is crucial, because then you've got 360 care for the child, that everyone in their life, in all areas of their life, understand what they've been taught and then can keep it up. But also it helps the parents look at themselves and give themselves some own tools, and also as well. So the whole purpose is it's helping the whole school community, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love, like, going back to that analogy of the, you know, setting up neural pathways, and, you know, having that one that's overgrown that we're not using, and going through it with a big knife. That big knife, that wouldn't come to my mind right then. What do you feel is one of the best tools that you share with the children on that course?
Well, I suppose the way we start every single program is starting to talk to them about emotions, because again, this is what nobody does, right? Most of the time, and we do this from love, but we're like, oh, don't cry, you know, and we try and make them feel happier rather than allowing them to validate and notice their emotions. So we start every session, and this is because this program works from all the way through from, I've done it to kids in preschool, so like 3, 4, 5, all the way up, and I've delivered it to kids, young adults who are on a stepping stone into university. So real wide, obviously I deliver it in different ways, but we always start with all of them talking about emotions. So we talk about who's ever felt, and then go through a range of emotions, what sort of things make them feel that way, how they react to that way. But then we start to get them to notice where they feel that emotion in their bodies, starting to connect them into that feeling, and being able to acknowledge that feeling and work with it. So to me, that's probably the most important part, because I think you need to be able to notice how you're feeling to know what you then need. So we're raising self-awareness in that moment, all sorts of things from that. One of my favorite tools though for the little ones that we do is called the bad thinks. And this is when we talk about, because, you know, quite often kids go into bed at night and as I said before, their minds whirring with all the things that they're worrying about, and we're talking little kids here, but there's still lots of things. So I talk about the bad things. And so I talk about them, how you can take them out. And so then we do something like, oh my God, I've got a wiggly one coming out my nose or coming out my ear, and we're taking them out. So we take all the bad things out, and we put them in a bag. We have a bag and we put them in this bag, because kids have the most amazing imagination. So we just utilize that, right? And so and then I get them doing it as well. So I said, we can just take them out. So then they're like, oh, okay. So they're all taken there, and it gets quite a bit of commotion, but they love that. And we all put it in a bag. And then I'm like, oh, have you everybody got them in their bag? So then we throw them out the window, but then they disappear, because we don't want all the bad things floating around out there. So then we say, and then they just disappeared. Isn't that brilliant? But then what we do is we say, well, we get to put good things in now. And does anyone know where the good things are? And they're like, oh, no, they're all around you. So then I'll think, depending on the kids, will be like, oh, there's some puppies, and put that one in. And then I get them picking all the good things. And some of the things they come up with is fabulous. Honestly, the little ones are just a joy. And so we get them putting all the good things in. And so it's, again, empowering them. They can just take their bad things out. They don't have to keep them in there. They can get rid of them, and then they can put the good things in.
That's a powerful kind of thought, isn't it, really? That we're in charge of them, and we
Absolutely.
can focus on them, or we can, choose to put our focus on something else. And that's really all you're doing, is changing the focus from all these, bad things to moving the focus onto what actually is going to make me feel good, what's going to give me that feeling of joy. And and as an adult, I think it's a lovely thing to do as well. We can have that wonderful going back to our childhood and imagine taking out all of those thoughts and putting them in a bag.
Yeah. Well, we do it all the time, don't we? And I always say, any thoughts or judgments, pop them in a bubble and just let them float away, sort of thing, So I think and that's very much a subconscious tool that we're using in those instances. And the program is very much a mixture of conscious and subconscious tools. And when I'm training the teachers, I teach them basically the same way I teach it in the intro day for hypnotherapy. I teach them how the mind works. And it always amazes me that it is teaching them, that it's not recapping. Like, a lot of they don't know, they're not trained. So it always amazes me a little bit. But a quick little story on the good things and bad things. I delivered it in a preschool. This was a few years ago now, and somebody I know, her daughter was there, and she said to me, oh, Jo, I have to tell you this. She said, I was making cupcakes for my daughter's birthday, and it wasn't going well. And she said, and her little daughter came in and said, Mummy, Jo showed me how to take the bad things out, would you like me to show you how to do it?
I love that. It's so cute.
Oh yeah, because sometimes
we can learn a lot from kids.
Yeah, totally. And she was like, oh my goodness, and she loved telling me how to do it, and we walked through, and I was like, that's great, because sometimes you wondered, has it gone in? So it's so lovely to hear that it has, because trying, especially that group was like ages 3 and 4, and like trying to get them to sit still for any length of time, you have to keep them moving and stuff. So yeah, that was really good.
Brilliant. I'm so passionate about working with kids. I think it's such a lovely way that we can make such a huge impact on the world. And get into little minds and help them to focus on the good, and they will impact the people around them. They will impact the people around them. It's that lovely kind of ripple effect. So and I know you've got your the happiness club, and I've got the positive young minds. So between us, hopefully we'll get some people interested in working with kids and getting that message out there. Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're talking before about working with parents as well, right? When you've got kids that are struggling. I've got a client at the moment, and her son is really struggling. He's going through a really hard time. Now, I'm not working with the son. He's got his own separate therapist, but I've been working with my client for a wee while. And she's been quite hard on herself, because she's like, well, he's learned it from me, because she does is challenged with anxiety, turning up quite regularly. And I wanted to reframe. I didn't want her in a space of blame, because she's always like, I believe we're all doing our best all the time. So it's not a case of she's done anything wrong. She's always been doing her best. So I reframed it for her and said, if you didn't have an experience with anxiety, you would have no empathy for him right now. You might possibly be, oh, come on, just suck it up and get on with it. You might be getting really angry with him because he's actually not even in school at the moment. But because you've had that experience, you have so much empathy and compassion for him that you're helping him so much on that journey. And that really helped her to change the way that she was viewing it, because she was very much in a place of, this is my fault, I've done something wrong. Whereas that really helped her to think, oh yeah, good point. So yeah, it's understanding that parents are always doing their best.
Yeah, and every emotion that we have has a good intention behind it. Even the guilt and the shame and all of those things, they have a good intention behind them. They're trying to push us to be our best selves, and so listening to that message and being kind to ourselves is a wonderful thing to do.
Yeah.
So can you lead us in a lovely meditation for today, focused on bringing in more joy and more happiness? That would be really
Sure. Well, I thought about this because to me, one of the most powerful emotions that is probably one of the easiest for us all to access is gratitude, because we all have things in our lives that we can be grateful or glad about, as we talked about before. And actually, the more we put our focus there, it's impossible for gratitude to be present with stress, because gratitude just totally overrides it. So anyone you're working with, whether it be a child or an adult, the more you can help them to connect to that feeling. And there's always, I say, it doesn't have to, it's the small things that are probably the most powerful with it, you know, thinking about family or loved ones or whatever it might be, and puts them in a much more resource state to then be able to do other change that they want to do, whether it be, you know, a goal that they want to achieve or whatever. But to me, accessing that feeling of gratitude is easy because it's nearly always it's always there, but also it resources them to help them to be able to do what else it wants them to be. And so I've kind of, what I'm doing with you today, you can utilize with kids, with adults. It's just a really nice one, and hopefully will step you into your week with lots of gratitude and seeing it all everywhere.
Gratitude actually changes the chemistry in our brain. So we're flooding our body with endorphins, with feel-good hormones that, as you say, set you up to be able to make other changes. It's like that kind of domino effect.
Yeah, completely. So this is, to me, it's always a really nice one to do. Okay. So just getting comfortable, and just take a couple of lovely, long, slow breaths and just gently closing your eyes. And just with every breath out, just allowing your body just to start to relax a little bit more. Every time you breathe in out, allowing your mind to slow, your body to relax. Just popping any thoughts or worries or anything into a bubble and just letting it float away. And just focusing on your breath and being here in this moment. And I'd like you to visualize, to see or sense the color orange. Picture it above your head, radiating a lovely, warm orange light. And I want you to allow that color orange to come into your body, moving easily, warm and soothing. Just let your body take whatever it needs of that color orange. Let the color go wherever you need it to go right now. And just allow whatever you don't need of this color to simply run out at the bottom of your feet. And now visualize the color yellow above your head. Again, picture it there. You may see it or just sense it. And again, just allow this coming into your body. Perhaps you're breathing it in. And again, let the color yellow go to the areas of your body that it needs it right now. Take whatever you need from this color yellow. And then just let whatever you don't need run out through the bottom of your feet into the ground. And now seeing the colour green above your head. Allowing that colour green to come into your body. Moving through your body. Soothing. And taking all you need from this beautiful colour green. Just letting out whatever you don't need, whatever you don't take of this colour. Now I want you to see a brilliant, bright, white light above your head. And just allowing that colour to come in to your body. Letting the bright, white light travel throughout your whole body. Taking what you need. Letting this bright, white light illuminate your body. And just letting go of any that you don't need right now. Wonderful. Now we're going to widen the lens on your life. So I want you to imagine floating up out of your body and traveling upwards. You can travel in a rocket ship or an aeroplane, perhaps a flying unicorn, or you can grow wings. However feels right for you, just go up high. Go as high as you need to go to be able to see your life in all its colour and beauty. Let your subconscious let you know when you've gone as high as you need. And then from this height, just looking down, you may see your life clearly, or you may just have a sense for it. So from this height, having widened the lens, I just want you to look at your life. Notice all the wonderful areas of your life. Widening the lens, stepping back. Notice the joy and the gratitude that this can create inside you. As you look down from this widened angle, and you notice everything you have in your life to feel grateful for. As you notice, start to notice where in your body that you're feeling that feeling of gratitude. Perhaps you see it as a colour. Perhaps you can just sense that feeling. And notice how that feeling of gratitude can grow as you notice more areas, more things, more people in your life from this widened lens that you can see and appreciate. Notice that feeling growing. Keep looking, and as you do, you notice more things, and that feeling of gratitude within you grows stronger. Notice how lovely it is to take this step back, to be able to have this view, and how wonderful that feeling of gratitude feels within your body. Perhaps that feeling can spread. Perhaps that feeling of gratitude can spread throughout your whole body. How wonderful does that feel? Now, having stepped back, having widened the lens and been able to see all those wonderful things in your life that can make you feel grateful, just coming back down to now. And I want you to imagine stepping into the week ahead, seeing this through your own eyes. And notice how easy it is from this angle to see all the small things, the tiny little things that can build on that feeling of gratitude even more. Allow yourself to walk through the week ahead. Notice so many things that make you smile, that make you feel grateful that this is your life. Everywhere you go, everywhere you look, there's always something or many things that just keep growing that feeling of gratitude within you. How good does that feel? Now you've set yourself up for the most beautiful week ahead. You know that you will be drawn to notice all those wonderful moments, the tiniest things and the biggest things that make you feel grateful in your life. In the week ahead, you'll notice that feeling of gratitude is always available to you, even in the moments that are perhaps challenging. So just take a couple of moments more to connect to and enjoy this wonderful feeling of gratitude within you. And then simply take a lovely couple of slow, deep breaths and simply come back to now with that feeling of gratitude strong within you. Open your eyes, feeling good about yourself and feeling good within yourself.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Jo. That was so nice. I'm sorry, I had a bit of a cough in the middle.
At least you were muted.
On mute, but hopefully it didn't bother anyone else. That was so lovely. That feeling of gratitude, you're right, when you focus on it, it just grows. And there's so many kind of little things that I was like, oh, and that. Oh, and that. Oh, and that.
Yeah, totally. Totally. And I think another thing I also talk to people about is how do you, I don't know if I mentioned this last time, how do you want to wake up? Like, so for me, it was like 3 things came to mind when I asked myself that question. It was at ease, grateful, and content. And so what I do first thing in the morning, I don't do it all the time. I used to do it all the time. I kind of sporadically now, is first thing in the morning I sort of like almost do a bit of a progressive muscle relaxation. And then I connect to the feeling of gratitude in my body, because I know where I kind of feel that in my heart space, and I connect to the feeling of contentness, and then starting the day from that place. So gratitude is a really, really great place to start the day from, because you're looking for those good things then.
Absolutely. And it just like it rolls out into the rest of the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's looking for it. Kirsty said, yeah, that was so lovely. The feeling just kept growing.
Yeah.
And I
that's
wonder how many other people have that in their heart space, because I did as well. So
yeah.
It's probably the most common place for that feeling to turn up.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I think that, as I say, it's probably one of the easiest ones for even somebody who's feeling really super anxious, or maybe somebody who's feeling slightly depressed. There's still the feeling of gratitude is probably one of the easy ones. Like happiness can be a little bit, well, what is happiness? Whereas gratitude is, and it's such a powerful feeling that the more you can give your client that, it can grow, and then you're then more resourced to be able to step into all the other things that they want to do. It's really powerful.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions for Jo while I've got her? You can pick her brain and ask her anything to do with hypnosis or a happiness club or anything else. And I might just hold on. I can ask you to unmute, and then you can just pop up and say something, or you can just say something if you want to. I don't mind.
Well, I'm in the Happy Hypno group, so if anyone does have any questions, feel free to reach out to me through that as well.
And if you're not in the Happy Hypno group, if you've not studied yet with us, then feel free to get in contact. There's details at the end of the video if you're watching it on YouTube. Or you can just get in contact with me and I can pass on your messages to Jo or your questions. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. There's a couple of people saying, oh, yeah, lovely meditation. Thank you.
Glad you enjoy it. And you're going to find it so easy now that you've done that, to see the all the little things that make you smile this week, because we've put that in your focus. So your Rouse is going to show you all those things too.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And join us again next Monday for a lovely, another lovely Meditation Monday breakthrough hypnotherapy session. And I look forward to having a wonderful week, and you guys all have a wonderful week too. Thanks, Jo. See you.
Thanks, Sara. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed that video. If you'd like to learn more about professional hypnotherapy training so you can start an exciting new journey and learn about the fascinating power of the subconscious mind, click on the link below or go to hypnotherapy-training.co.nz/transformation.